Has alt season begun? And today we're going to be breaking down a ton of charts for you with Evan, so it's going to be a good one. You guys don't want to miss it. My name is Paul Barron. Welcome back into Tech Path. Let's get started. I want to thank our sponsor, iTrust Capital. This is a place where you guys can go park an IRA and put it in crypto. And of course, you can do this in Bitcoin, Ethereum. You can actually also get gold and silver into your IRAs over there. So it's very easy to set up. You can also transfer IRAs into iTrust. That also works. All you have to do is use our link down below. It's going to give you a $100 funding reward when you go to itrustcapital.com. So check that out. Today we're going to have, of course, Mr. Evan Aldo joining us. And if you guys have never visited Evan's YouTube channel, and you guys can check out Evan Aldo over on YouTube. He does a great job there on analysis. Evan's got some skills that I think you might be interested in. Of course, he uses a lot of those additional indicators out there. Evan, let's get into all of this today. And of course, one of the biggest things is the Federal Reserve now withdraws their crypto guidance for banks. And it wasn't just withdrawing it. They literally said, don't even come to us. We don't need to be part of this at all. So banks are pretty much green-lit to do almost anything it looks like in crypto. This could be a big benefit going forward. A couple other points I want to hit on in terms of the bullish side of things. Now, this is Ansem. He's kind of talking about, are you in belief right now? And I want to ask you this question. Are you in belief that this is a continuation of the bull run, or are we looking at maybe just a little bit of a throwback and a bear market entry? Where do you stand on that?
I do think that it's definitely the first one, the continuation of the bull run. What we need to think about is potentially a rejection from old all-time highs for Bitcoin, and then a summer lull like we normally see. Generally, you do see a pullback at the end of quantitative tightening, which generally will probably happen either in May or June. So
right.
I think it may take until you get a convincing new all-time high for Bitcoin. You may have to wait like 120K, 150K. It may be in later in the year. We definitely have to see what we have.
Yeah. So do you feel like, but again, this gets back into the whole idea of cycles, Evan. And I think a lot of people have stepped away from that thesis, is that cycles don't really exist anymore, other than maybe the traditional trading cycle, which is really across all markets, which is kind of the sell and may go away kind of thing. Because a lot of traders do take a lot more time off in the summer, and we usually do see that very low scenario playing out in terms of trade action. But that may change a little bit with all of the things that are happening, especially around tariffs. I want to go to a clip real quick because this will get into crypto and banks. Take a look.
Welcome back to Squawk Box this morning. Banking regulators pulling back some U.S. cryptocurrency guidance. This is interesting, guys, because the Fed said it was withdrawing supervisory letters that said that banks should seek advance approval from authorities before engaging in crypto asset and stablecoin activities. In addition, the Fed, the FDIC, and the Office of the Controllers of the Currency pulled back statements from 2023 that urged banks to be careful when it comes to crypto-related risks.
Here's the question. I mean, because it's the Fed doing that, it's not like an executive order where it's going to get whipsawed if another administration comes in 4 years, I would assume. But again, the politicization of it probably has some a little concerned about whether the winds would change again at some point. I guess maybe it's better because it's coming from the Fed.
Well, I think part of it's coming from the Fed, and it sounded like part of it was coming from
the administration. That's what I don't understand. This was part of the campaign promises to do these things.
So we've already seen the administration kind of flowing this direction. I think this is going to be good for Bitcoin in general, obviously stable coins. Bitcoin ETFs also added 2.7 billion in a week as the market continued to see a rebound. Let's take a look at your chart right now. I've got another clip here that I want to talk about, but let's go into your chart on Bitcoin. Do you like the position? Where do you think we're going to see a drawback if we do, in fact, see a correction coming down the pipe?
So, yeah, I mean, when we go to the chart right here, this is when you zoom out on our weekly, you got this nice trigger wave. Look at the last time this happened. This was a big jump upward. It's probably not going to be, I mean, it could be this good, but it's probably going to be a little bit more conservative, diminished returns. I mean, I think it's maybe a little bit too optimistic, or quite a bit too optimistic to say we're going to hit 150K by July or August. But I do think that potentially you'll get before, right around the Bitcoin conference, maybe a little bit before after, sometime in June, you may see either a rally to new all-time highs, or the previous all-time high around 109, or a new all-time high, at about 120K. Those are the two places I'm looking at for a potential summer lull, a rejection that we typically will see. So let's say you get the end of QT in June or May, then you have your kind of pullback, that typical 20-30% pullback. I think this would be about 20%. You come back to 95K, maybe where we are right now. And then in your end of year, when you see more quantitative easing from July, August onward into the end of the year, that's your rally up to 150K. And I wouldn't even, maybe 200K could be on the table. I think that's too optimistic. My main prediction is 150K, but that's what I'm looking at right now. I think at least we should be able to continue rallying up back to 110, back to that old all-time high before you see your next significant pullback.
One thing that could happen, though, Evan, that maybe would hit your all-time, or not your all-time high, well, yeah, it would be another all-time high, is how China could be deviating off of treasuries. I want to play a clip for you and see what you think about this. Take a look.
But this whole diversification away from traditional assets and into things like gold and also like crypto, right, probably began 3-4 years ago, did it not, or at least 2-3 years ago, right? Because a lot of people pinpoint Russia's most recent invasion of Ukraine and, how $300 billion worth of Russian central bank money got seized and is sitting somewhere in Belgium right now as a trigger for countries like China, say, to stop recycling their surplus into treasuries, or not as much, and more into things like gold and into crypto. I mean, that's fair, right?
A continued movement towards diversification beyond just holding dollars is something that's been happening for decades. So the switch from just holding dollars to holding gold to looking at other types of assets like Bitcoin is a trend that's been years in the making.
All right, so you see China could have a lot more of an emphasis around just I won't say decoupling, but definitely deleveraging off of U.S. Treasuries. That is going to give us two potential assets that are going to run if China does make a choice. Now, granted, they hold a lot of gold, but if China were to jump into Bitcoin all of a sudden, just the fact that China would most likely make it somewhat legal again in China to own and trade Bitcoin, that could be huge for the markets. If that were to happen, Evan, would it be just, okay, everybody just throw it down because Bitcoin's going to 500,000?
Well, I think it still would take a few years to get to 500,000. That may be by 2029, next cycle.
Well, and you got to look at a couple of things here. I think tariffs have been a big impact on, at least in the beginning. I think it was more of the fact that it was so erratic, and we were seeing so many signals, both positive, negative, and now you have the fact that the market's not even reacting to what we're seeing right now in terms of the post from China, where they're saying, hey, don't create confusion. We're not really negotiating anything right now. I think, again, these are all tactics being played. But the point is, the market didn't even react. In fact, Bitcoin went up, and we continue to see a lot of the altcoins flying. So maybe are we out of the sensitivity of the tariff impact? What is your feeling? Or do you think we're just on the backside of it?
Tariff, and I think it's going to be more like what we've seen. I think the worst of the tariffs have already happened. I think Trump is generally going to be more lenient on the tariffs. My feeling, too, is that Trump may have had some behind the doors talks with Powell, and I think Powell may have told Trump what he wants to hear. Maybe Powell's like, okay, just ease off on the tariffs a little bit and you'll get your rate cuts. You get what you want. Market does well. You'll look good. I think they can agree. That's the real
Well, I think the other aspect, I think, is some billionaire buddies, probably had some nice, very closed-door meetings with the administration, because this was putting some heavy pain on a lot of major investment capital out there. Let's jump over to Ethereum. Ethereum's new network upgrade, this is Pectra, is incoming on mainnet. This is May 7th. This will be happening. This will be a big deal because there is a lot of advancements around where ETH is going. Obviously, fees are way down right now. It has created a little bit of a trading frenzy around some assets. What do you think about Ethereum right now, where it's trading between 17 and 1800?
A lot of rare bullish signals. Really great buy. Now let's go to the chart right here. So this is what I kind of think could happen. I think we're going to see a continued really good recovery. It's really similar. You look at kind of what we're seeing here on the 5-day and even on the weekly. You see this area, deep anchor wave right here. This marked the exact bottom. So if we just look at what happened here, what I would base it off of, I think you could get a nice rally upward. I think ETH has really been suppressed here. Good rally upward, maybe 3,000 sometime in June. End of May at the earliest. Then you get your kind of summer lull, maybe that 20% correction, 15, maybe ETH holds up better in Bitcoin. I think it may, something like that in the summer. And then August, September onward, you're pretty much home free, and you still got a good shot of making potentially a new all-time high. My view is maybe somewhere between 5,000 to 7,300 could be your high by the end of the year. So I still think you may have that 7,000 case. I would probably, unless Bitcoin goes up to 200K, I'd probably mark out 11K, but not impossible to get up there. So I think there's a huge lot of potential for ETH right here. ETH versus Bitcoin, really close to your 2019 lows the last time they ended QT. So I think this has got a lot of recovery to do. I think it will.
Do you think that ETH could make an 11K by end of this year?
If very unlikely, probably only a 10% chance. But if Bitcoin hits 200K, then yes, I do think it's possible.
All right. So more of a consistent anywhere between 4 and 7K is kind of what I'm hearing.
5 to 7K. I'm more optimistic. I think we can make a new all-time high, 4,800 to 7K.
All right. All right. Well, that would be a fantastic for a lot of the ETH holders that are out there. We have a ton of people that are, of course, following our ETH content. We're going to be doing a huge show on Ethereum as well, so be on the lookout for that, guys. We'll drop it so you can watch it over the weekend. Also, if you're not subscribed to the channel right now, just take a little bit of time, hit that little subscribe button today. Get in right now. We are pushing hard for 1.4 million. So we're going to have 1.4 million subs. Thank you guys. You guys are all a part of this. And I think we've seen a lot of new people starting to move into, and the United States has picked up. We were growing around the world. The United States has started to pick up. So big deal. Let's jump over to SWI. And SWI surges 73% this week. This has been one we've been watching very closely. We've had SWI as a partner on the channel. They've also given us a lot of insights around releases and things of that nature around Walrus. We've announced those here on the show. They also have the big, obviously the big partnership, or I shouldn't say partnership, the Grayscale launch, which is the ETF. And then the potential here, I think, to really grow with this MasterCard partnership. But we think that there's something else brewing, and it could be just around the corner. If you guys want to check what that is, watch that video right there. That video right there. God Candle incoming. It has got some juicy stuff in there. Rumors, theatrics, death, destruction. It's all in that video. So catch it. What do you think about the SWI chart right now? Do you think this can hold up?
Generally, yes. I do think it can hold up. I mean, whenever you get a huge jump up like this, sometimes you do consolidate. But yeah, I mean, you're getting to that point. Your next big point is going to be kind of $4.12. So you could dilly-dally around where we are right now and then get up to that point. Your money flow still looks good on, a lot of these time frames, these high timers coming back on that 3-day. So I think you could kind of somewhat repeat, a situation like that upward, get up to these points right there. And, my big place is probably, I don't see why you can't get up to $10 into end of year here.
$10.
And you're looking, the big thing here, you're looking at this trigger wave, very similar to over here. This is August of 2024. Now, obviously, it's not going to be this good. You're probably not going to go up to $13, but a diminished return version of that, even if you get up half to that, that's a double from where we are right now. And then, I think there's a good shot. So my range would be between high 6s to $10 probably for SWI into end of year. So, yeah.
All right, Evan, I want to take a look right here. So the top 10 tokens, you can kind of see Dogecoin, Cardano rounding out the top 10 at Tron at 23 bill. Then you got SWI coming in. This is a huge gap right here. The question is can it make up that kind of gap, possibly become a top 10 token? At the rate that you're talking about, if we saw a $6 to $7 SWI, that would do it. That would essentially get it into that position.
Assuming Tron doesn't also jump up quite a bit. So you have those other tokens, those other legacy also probably do well as well. Can SWI be a top 10 token? It probably will at some point. I don't know how long it would be though. I don't know if it's going to stay permanently as a top 10 token, but I would hope it passes out Doge.
Yeah, it's one of those projects too that has so many oars in the water. I mean, they've got gaming going. There's of course cross-chain going. They've got a lot happening within the ecosystem in terms of development. So it is definitely one of the projects we're watching a lot closer. Axelar also, the 2024 milestone progress update. This goes into what we're seeing now coming up, which is now this year. A lot of new integrations coming in and some very interesting ones with XRPL, SWE, Solana, etc. All of this is kind of flowing into where Axelar could be on the move here. When you look at Axelar, the token, do you like this one? Because this had been really regressed down as far as its current price.
It's always had some good, fundamentals, good things behind it, which has kind of kept me hopeful. The fact that it made a lower low than its October 23 low is kind of, scary. So just keep in mind it is a very risky thing, but the sky is the limit. Like, it could come up a lot here. I mean, your next kind of big place, if you can hold these areas, theoretically should be 84 cents. That's, over a double from here, 170%. And, you do have some good things in some of these larger time frames, but just be careful since it made that lower low there. If you can break above that area, theoretically, then your next place would be $1. Then theoretically, you could fight to new all-time highs. I kind of don't think this would go above, unless things get really crazy above that, old all-time high. But if you can get back up to this area right here that I'll mark out right around, $2, that'd be a huge jump up. That's like, 500%. So I think there's a maybe 50-50 for 40% chance at that, and probably 60% chance getting at least back up to $1 at some point. So yeah.
Let's take a look at Polygon. They launched the Aguilar Breakout Program. This is going to give projects to basically start doing airdrop, especially for token holders of POL. Do you like Polygon right now? Would you buy Polygon today, where it's trading right now in this bull run?
Yeah, I would, but be cautious. I would buy a lot of alts. I definitely diversified. I wouldn't put all my eggs in one basket. I mean, I'm not even going to look at the Matic chart because it's so depressing. We'll just look at the Polygon chart itself. You came down. Now you're holding this area kind of at 20 cents right here. If you can break above where we are right now, which I think you should, your next target is going to be almost, right around this area, 38 cents, which is a really important place to kind of get back up to. And then if you could, hold that and continue forward, you got some potential here. For the first time ever, or on your Polygon chart, since it rebranded to Polygon, getting a green Heikin-Ashi candle last time that happened here, you had a nice jump up. I mean, that was your jump up to 39 cents. So let's hope for 39 cents, which could come up, by June even. And if we can get there and then hold that, then you could continue back up to 75 cents theoretically. It's kind of hard to say. This thing has been very depressing, but I'm still hopeful for it. And I think, probably your worst case scenario would be by end of year, hopefully getting back to 50 cents. But, a lot of us want it to go a lot higher than that, because if you look at, the chart that really depresses everybody, your old all-time highs were at $2.80, which is, that's almost a 10x from here. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, this is a big one. And I think a lot has to start to be developed, I think, around the ecosystem for it to do that kind of move. Let's talk about Solana, because they had their day one at the Crossroad event. Now, what they showed, though, was the first look at the Solana Seeker. This is the second tier phone that has come out of Solana after the Saga being a huge win. Seeker has been equal that. Likelihood is we're going to see a ridiculous amount of airdrops coming in on this Seeker phone, and it could be something that we see released coming up at the Accelerate event in May in New York City. Where is Solana right now? Do you like this one to continue to run, or could it be one of the less, shiny stars in this next bull run?
I think it will continue to run. I mean, some of the smaller caps probably will do better, but I think you got a good shot at, maybe getting back up to like 260 or at least $200 by sometime in June, and then maybe getting that summer lull. This is what I'm kind of looking at here. And you got your rare, your rare bullish sign forming on your 2-week, that trigger wave. Now, this was a huge jump up back in October of 23. I don't think it's going to be that good. But, some aspects of this may stay. If you look at kind of this area from that bottom, that could be, a jump up to even maybe $300. That pocket right there sometime in June or May, back up to $300. Now, that's a double. That's a lot. The market would have to do really well for that. But, I think there's a real, you come up to those points, then you get your summer lull, you come back down to maybe 180, 200, this area. And then you get your last jump up maybe into December, January of 400. And I mean, it's definitely not impossible to even, really fight up to 600 in your best case scenario. So I think there's a good shot, somewhere between 400 to 650 is where I think you'll top out. I'd probably start taking some major profits if we're in December and we're at $400. That's probably going to be your top. So yeah.
Okay, all right, very good. I think that's a good lineup. And you look at Ethereum, I would say, I would go with Solana, SWI, and Avalanche. Of those three, for someone brand new right now coming into the market, which one would you direct them to as kind of the number one investment token? Not investment advice, but just in the sense of weighing those three altcoins.
So, okay, I'll answer that in two ways. So the first way, probably Avalanche, I think, has the most potential to keep going. But I think it would be very foolish just to buy Avalanche. You want to be diversified. So I say you got to have all three.
All three. All right, well, speaking of Avalanche, we got to look here. Gunzilla is starting to reach out to a new partner. So movement now in the gaming ecosystem, which has kind of been the big winner for Avalanche. And then I've got a clip right here, Evan, that I want to show you. This is Joe Rogan with Robert Rodriguez, which is very interesting because this is all related to the Avalanche ecosystem. Take a look.
Together.
That's such a great idea.
And everybody gets to pitch their action movie idea. Even at $250, the lowest level, we're almost at $1 million already. 22 days left. So I'm telling everybody who's listening, come in at the lowest level. Just be part of our community, and you're going to be in the first one because I'm going to direct the first one. I've already got which one it is. I'll show you. It's a great part.
All right, so that's Robert Rodriguez. What we're talking about here is basically the ability to invest in films in Hollywood, and part of this is all driven off the AVAX ecosystem. What do you think? Where Avalanche is trading right now, do you like it? Would you invest in it today?
Yes, and yes. So when we look at Avalanche right here, you're forming this rare bullish sign in your 2 week. That's really good. You made a lower low from this July 24 low, but the fact that you just crept up and now you're above this major point at $21 is really good for Avalanche right now. So I think you got some potential of repeating a situation at least like this right here. So if we repeat this kind of situation, this would be huge, and you get back up to sometime this summer, maybe even sooner, $48. But if you repeat something like here, which I think could be in the cards as well, then you get to some really high points, potentially old all-time high or new all-time high. Now, since it's September, maybe we get up to 108 in September, and then you get your last little wing up into the end of the year for a new all-time high at $230. I feel like, you're at a $9 billion market cap right now. Can it get up to 100 billion? Maybe that's a little bit too optimistic, but it's definitely possible. And I think the odds of getting back up to that $100 mark by the end of the year are very likely based on what we're seeing right here, especially on this 2 week. It does not get any more bullish than this. You have your money flow coming up, another trigger wave forming right there. So there, it's very high likelihood that this is going to rally for some months to come. So yeah.
Yeah. So trade-wise, Avalanche again at your high, you're talking about a 9x token there. So that would be a significant run on AVAX for sure. Let's jump over to Helium. Helium announced that they had some big news. AT&T subscribers now can connect to Helium's network. So this is going to be a big deal. AT&T and Helium. This will cover even more locations, possibly seeing a ton more in terms of new signups with Helium. And they have both the free program and then a really low-cost program around $15. Do you like Helium right now, H&T, to go into, if you were saying, I'm going to pick a bag of altcoins, would I put Helium in it?
Yeah, I like Helium. Thanks for reminding me. I probably should buy the dip on this because you're getting into this point, right here. Money flow looks good on your 5-day and your weekly too. Money flow starting to come up, so a lot of good things. And it's similar to what we're seeing on a lot of alts. I think a lot of these obviously can run here. This is the first time, at least on this chart, since it's been on Coinbase, that we saw a deep anchor wave on the 2 week. If you can hold where you are right now and break above, you got a technical target at $7, just under $8, so just under a 2x. I think if you can hold that $7 mark, maybe you get up there. Let's say you get up there, before your summer lull, then you get your summer lull, you come back to, let's say, $5. Then you have that last wing up into the end of the year. Then you could be talking about a 4x, $16. To these high points right here, it's not impossible, but things would have to really, really go as good as possible for you to get that high. But I'll take a 4x. $16 could definitely be in the cards here.
More altcoins to talk about. Polkadot, of course, on the verge possibly of being related to the TikTok deal that's coming up, most likely without any kind of delay, according to Kevin O'Leary. When you look at the Polkadot scenario, do you like it trading right now? Because it has been really repressed quite a bit.
That's been one of the most repressed, depressing tokens, almost as bad as Matic, but not quite. But when you get, when you get to this part, you made it a lower low here, which is very concerning. Definitely not a good thing there. So, take it as you will. Be careful with it. But, you came up quickly. You're holding that area. You're seeing rare bullish signs, especially on your 2-week. Again, let's just look at that. I mean, money flow coming up. You're getting that rare trigger wave. I mean, it doesn't get much more bullish than this. So, I think in all likelihood, you got a very good probability of doing something like this again, getting back to that $11 point. So, 2 or 3x from where we are right now. If you can break above this point right here, this general area, that $10 point, you're looking at $17. If you could hold that, then you're looking at these all-time highs. Will it hit that? I don't know. It really depends what happens once we hit $10, which I think we probably will hit that within a few months. If you reject all the way back here, then you're kind of dead in the water. But if you can do something like this, hold these points, then you got potential into end of year, getting to that area right there, and maybe even fighting back towards all-time highs. I don't know. This thing seems kind of, I don't know if I like this chart the most, but I do like the trade to come back up to $10 here. So yeah.
All right. Well, I think the key with what we're seeing with the altcoins right now is there are some hot ones. Obviously, there are some here that could be super winners. We are going to get another show going for you guys that'll get into maybe a second tier. Let us know down in the comments of where you guys think that needs to go, because there's a lot, I think, that could really end up being some very aggressive potential opportunities that could be playing into the market for sure. Hey, Evan, when you look at the charts as they are right now, obviously SWE has had a continuous run here, another 6% on the day, another heated token. Is there any one that you're thinking I need to jump into? You've got Hedera starting to move, which is holding it around a 5% on today's action. And then, of course, there's Helium right there on a big candle. And Virtuals also playing in at almost a 20% retracement. Now, it's coming off the floor. But is there anything that you're trading right now that you're thinking, hey, this might be a little bit of a hidden gem?
Oh, okay. So there's one I looked at, Chainlink. Let me show you Chainlink. That's a good one. It's a legacy it's pretty safe. I mean, Virtuals is great. That's a smaller cap. That's going to be a little bit more risky. But if you look at something, what I like here is you just keep making higher lows. Look at that higher low from August 24, a little under a year later right here. So I think Chainlink has got a lot of potential here. A nice jump up into maybe June, July, up to $30, maybe a little summer lull. And then you definitely could get up to maybe $80 by end of year. So I think there's a lot of potential for Chainlink right here, about a $9 billion, almost $10 billion market cap. I think you could potentially get a 5x or more from where we are right now, and that would be $80 or probably back to that $50 mark at least. I think you got a good shot at. So Chainlink looks excellent.
Needless to say, Evan, it sounds like you are all in on bullish for the market right now.
I think until, for the next month, until I think normally at the end of QT, when maybe in June when they officially end QT, that's when you may see a little summer pullback. But as of right now, into the Bitcoin conference, I think we're going to continue to do very well.
Yeah. All right, guys, let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget, hit Evan up over on YouTube at Evan Aldo. You can check him over there. Follow him on Twitter at Real Evan Aldo. Evan, thanks for coming in today. We appreciate it.
Thanks so much. Really appreciate it. Honored to be on.
All right, man. See you later. All right, guys, as I said, jump into that Diamond Circle. It's a great place to get additional content from us. Follow me out there on X at Paul Barron. We'll catch you next time right here on TechPath.